Hello students, in this lecture video, we'll study about mesh analysis. Very similar to nodal analysis, mesh analysis is also used to solve the electrical circuit and determine current through any branch element and voltage across any branch element. Before going to mesh analysis, we need to understand what is a mesh. A mesh is a loop which does not have any inner loops. So we need to identify how many number of meshes are there in a particular circuit. Before going to identify number of meshes in a particular circuit, we need to understand that mesh analysis can be applicable only to planar circuit. What is a planar circuit and what is a non-planar circuit? We will see in the upcoming slides. So, how to identify a mesh? So, in this, a simple circuit, you can see in a figure A. Okay, let us highlight with respect to the branches which are in dark and neglect the branches which are in light color. Okay, so the set of branches identified by heavy lines, neither a loop, okay, nor a path, because if you start from A node, you cannot go to B node because there is no path provided. So you have to come back to center node, then you have to travel this and then come back to center node, then you can travel like this, then come back to center node, you can travel like this. Definitely in this figure, the set of branches which are shown with the heavy lines is not a loop, not a mesh. Let us find out second. In a figure B, you are starting from node, you are traveling to across the particular node, and then you have to come back to this node, and then you have to travel. So even this is not considered as a loop. Why? Because you are encountering the node more than once. Okay, let us see third figure. If at all you travel by the set of branches which are shown in highlighted condition, you'll be starting from this node, you'll be reaching this node and reaching this node and then traveling to the other node and then traveling to the other node. So this indicates a loop. So definitely this is a loop. You can apply a KVL for this loop, but it is not a mesh because it consists of inner loops. Similarly, if you take a loop over here as shown with the highlighted lines, it is also a loop, but it is not a mesh because it do contain inner loops. So let us see whether this is a mesh or not. Yes, it is a mesh. So it is a loop which does not have any inner loops. In the same way, this is also a mesh which does not have any inner loops. So in a given circuit, we can have a 4 meshes. Okay, 4 loops which does not have any inner loops. So first target is we need to identify how many meshes are there, and we need to apply mesh analysis only to the loops which does not have any inner loops called as mesh. As I said in the previous slide, the mesh analysis can be applied only to planar circuit. What is a planar circuit? A circuit which can be represented on a 2D plane without any y-axis or without any crossover branches, that is called as a planar circuit. Here you can see this is the circuit which seems to be like a non-planar, but if at all you can redraw this circuit, then it will looks like a planar circuit. So what we have to do is that keep the 2 ohms branch as it is, keep 1 ohm branch as it is, this 1 ohm branch and 3 ohms, 4 ohms, okay, and 1 ampere circuit. First draw this branch elements, 1 ampere, 2 ohm resistor, 1 ohm resistor, and then 3 ohm resistor, and connect 4 ohm resistor. Now let us take this as a reference node. Let us take this reference node can be redrawn like this. Now a 5 ohms need to be joined between this node and a reference node. So a 5 ohms, rather than drawing like this, I can remove the branch and reconnect in this format. In the same way, a 6 ohms resistance should be joined between second node. For example, take this as second node and reference node. So instead of drawing like this and getting confused, I can take out this wire and reconnect in the other fashion. So a 6 ohm resistor is connected between 6 and reference node. Now, what about 8 ohms? 8 ohms is connected between reference node and finishing end of 1 ohm. Rather than drawing like this, I can draw with a straight line because this reference node is being converted into a straight line. Okay, so 8 ohms is joined between a junction of 1 ohm and 4 ohms with respect to reference node. In the same way, 7 ohms should be connected from the junction which is joining 4 ohms and 3 ohms to the reference node. Okay, so as you can see, now this is connected as a planar circuit. So we need to identify whether the given problem is a planar circuit or a non-planar circuit. Let us see the example of non-planar circuit. A cuboid. Let across a cuboid you are connecting a 5 amps. Definitely it will a cube, or else you take any cube. Okay, what it is going to have? It will have height, length, and breadth. Okay, so it should be represented with three axes: x-axis, y-axis, and then z-axis. So now you cannot apply a KVL, mesh analysis for this because it is a non-planar circuit. You cannot identify or draw this circuit without any crossovers. In the same way, you can see this is another example of non-planar circuit. You cannot draw this circuit without any crossovers. Okay, even you try to remove it, you reconnect this in other fashion and try to reconnect this in other fashion, still they are going to have a crossover. Okay, so whenever you cannot represent a circuit on a 2D plane without any crossovers, it is called as a non-planar circuit. You cannot apply a mesh analysis for a non-planar circuit. So what are the steps involved in a mesh analysis? First step, identify number of meshes. Once you identify number of meshes, assign each mesh current as I1, I2, IN. If a circuit consists of 3 meshes, you have to assign 3 currents. Assign all the 3 currents. Let us assume all the 3 currents travel in a either clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction. Remember, if at all you are considering one mesh current direction in clockwise, and you mention all other mesh currents are also in clockwise direction. Once you assign the mesh currents, apply KVL to the each n mesh and then use Ohm's law to express the voltage in terms of mesh currents. So we should assume that only mesh current is flowing through a particular branch, and when a current flow through a resistance, a voltage will be dropped across it. We need to represent that voltage in terms of mesh currents. So once you write a KVL equations, for n mesh you will get n simultaneous equations. If you solve n simultaneous equations, you can find out mesh currents. Once you find out mesh currents, you can easily determine current through any branch of a given circuit. Let us understand the theoretical concept which we have covered in a previous slide and apply to a given circuit. As you can see, this is a planar circuit and it consists of two meshes. One mesh is A to B, B to E, E to F, F to A. This is the first mesh. Second mesh is B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to B. And we cannot consider A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to F, F to A as a mesh because it will have two inner loops. So by seeing the circuit, it is having only two meshes. First mesh current, let us, it is I1. Second mesh current is I2. As you can see in the figure, we have assigned the mesh currents both flowing in a clockwise direction. So first step, we have identified meshes and indicated first mesh current as I1, second mesh current as I2. Both are flowing in a clockwise direction. And then third step is we need to apply the KVL. So if you apply the KVL, while applying the KVL, just neglect the other currents. Only we need to apply KVL with respect to mesh currents. So when you consider the mesh F to A to B, B to E. So when you travel from F to A, you are encountering a voltage source. So, and you are touching minus of the voltage source. So therefore, first we need to write down minus V1. Now, when you are traveling from A to B, you are encountering with a resistance R1. So as R1 is only belonging to mesh 1, the current flowing through the R1 is only a mesh current. Just neglect other currents. So if current flowing through R1, okay, is from left to right, let us assign plus to minus positive sign convention, then the voltage drop in R1 is plus small I1 R1. Okay, now come back to this resistance. You can see the resistance R3 is common between first mesh and second mesh. Whenever you are writing a mesh equation or a KVL equation for the mesh 1, you need to assume that that mesh current is always greater than other mesh current. So R3 is common between first mesh and second mesh. The current flowing through the R3 is the resultant of the two currents. I1 is flowing in downward direction. If you take this clockwise direction, I2 is flowing in upward direction. Now, what is the resultant current flowing in the R3? So I1 is going downward direction, I2 is going in upward direction. Let us consider this is R3, and I can write down the resultant current in R3 is I1 minus I2, because I2 is in opposite direction to I1. So the resultant current flowing through R3 is, we are thinking that I1 is greater than I2, the resultant current is in downward direction. So R3 into current, resultant current is I1 minus I2. I1 is the first mesh, I2 is current flowing in opposite direction. R3 into I1 minus I2 is equal to 0. So in this way, you need to write the mesh KVL equation for the mesh 1. We can simplify this taking the I1 common. So R1 plus R3 into I1 is equal to, sorry, minus I3, R3 into I2 is equal to V1. Let us try to write down the KVL equation for the second mesh. The second mesh will start from B, B to C, C to D, D to E. Okay, so if at all take first B, when you travel from B to C, the only current R2 belongs to only mesh 2. So the current flowing through R2 is small I2. So assigning the current directions and plus and minus. So first we can write down R2 into small I2. Then when you encounter from C to D, you are coming across with a voltage source, you are touching plus of V2. So plus I2 R2 plus V2, and then come back to this R3. R3 does not belong to only second mesh. It is a common between second mesh and first mesh. So I2 is the current flowing in upward direction, and opposite current is I1 coming in downward direction. So when you consider the mesh 2, you just think that mesh 2 current is greater than other currents. So the resultant current in R3 should be now R3 into I2 minus I1. Okay, the signs will be taken care. Just remember, when you are considering second mesh, we'll assume second mesh current is greater than any other mesh currents in a common circuit branch. So if you apply KVL, it is plus I2 R2 plus V2 plus 2 minus, we'll assume this is plus and this is minus. Resultant current is I2 minus I1 into R. So R2 I2 plus V2 plus R3, that is a common branch, into I2 minus I1 is equal to 0. If you simplify this, you can rewrite the equation in a standard form. Now, if you carefully observe first equation and second equation, we can represent these equations in a matrix form. We can represent these equations in a matrix form. So the equations are R1 plus R3 into I1 minus R3 into I2 is equal to V1. Second equation is minus R3 I1 plus R2 plus R3 into I2 is equal to minus V2. So once you represent in a standard matrix form, either you can use the Cramer's rule or you can use a substitution method. Then you can get small I1, small I2. Based upon that, I can determine what is capital I1, what is capital I2, what is capital I3. From observation, small I1 is equal to capital I1. Capital I2 is equal to small I2 because the current flowing in R2 is only small I2. And what is the I3? I3 is the current flowing in downward direction. So I3 is resultant of I1 going downward direction and I2 going in upward direction. So resultant is I3 is equal to I1 minus I2. So in this way, we can consider a planar circuit, apply the mesh currents and write down the KVL equations. If there are n number of meshes, you will get n simultaneous equations. Rewrite in a standard matrix form, then you can determine mesh currents. Once you determine mesh currents, we can find out current through any branch and voltage across any branch.